and go to America where they believed that they would have a better opportunity. When I was growing up in Des Moines in the 50s, on the South Side, there was a real anti-Italian American attitude in this city, especially if you were Catholic. The Wakanda Country Club that's right there on the South Side off of Fleur would not take Catholics or Italians or Jews or blacks. We were part of that. And one of the names they called us was wops. Remember they used to call Italians wops and dagos? You ever hear that, wops? That's kind of old, but it was without papers. Being undocumented, coming to this country illegal, it's a long and cherished tradition. And here I am, completely assimilated. And now this is really funny. I think it's funny. My brother Joe's a principal at St. Anthony's. He's retired. He's got two daughters, Gigi and Mitzi. Gigi married Rodney Filer, a football player from Iowa. He's a big black guy, really wonderful human being. Couldn't ask for a better human being for my niece Gigi. And they had two daughters, and one was named Josie Rose, and she just got done playing basketball in Chicago at a college. But Joe remembers, my brother Joe remembers that Josie Rose calls my brother, her grandfather, on the phone, and she says, "Papa, I now know what it means to be Italian." He says, "Really?" "Yeah, we just saw all 4 Godfather pictures, movie pictures." That's what it means to be Italian? Come on! But it's lost. Assimilation is what happens to people. Assimilation is fit into the system. That's kind of like what's been happening when people come to this country, whatever the first or second generation, wherever they came from, whatever. By the time you get into third and fourth generation in this country, you're completely assimilated into the culture. Yeah. In the world we're living in right now, well, it's I can only speak for my generation. I will only speak with any kind of certainty about the years I've lived on this planet. I think we each are responsible for the time God gave us on this planet. So I'm not going to sit in judgment of other generations and what's going on. I'm just looking at our generation. The last 70, 80 years on the planet. And it don't look good. I mean, you all think there's a good future for the human race right now and the way we're behaving? No way. Now, human beings not behaving well is not a new thing. It goes all the way back to the biblical times. All right? Okay. I get that. And I'm all right with that, except I really think something uniquely awful has happened in my lifetime. Post-World War II. I generally think that after World War II, the Americans won. And you know how they won it? How did we win World War II?
Which front? The European or the Pacific?
World War II includes both.
Yeah, okay. I mean, it ended with Hiroshima.
And Nagasaki, the atomic bombing. Yeah. Yeah, and did we ever apologize to the Japanese for bombing them with the atomic bombs? No. Now, That is the way we have packaged World War II. Needed to drop the bomb to save American and Japanese lives and end the war. What they don't tell you in that brief one line, thank God for the bomb, saved us and ended the war, is that by the time they dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the Germans have already surrendered. Well, why did Germany surrender? Anybody know? Well, the Allies they took over Europe. They fought the Germans right back into Germany. And then what did they do to Germany to break their backs? They bombed all of the major cities in Germany. That's history. That's a fact. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people killed. Bombing civilian centers. That was our war strategy. And it's what we did in Japan also. The reasons the US picked the two cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they were middle-sized cities that had not been bombed. Middle-sized cities. Well, sort of like the way I would compare it is, you know what Cedar Rapids is? Like 150,000 people. And Chicago, 8 million people. Tokyo, millions of people. Tokyo, one night with massive bombings, blanket bombings, they say that a quarter of Tokyo was destroyed by the conventional big bombers going over, throwing millions of bombs on them. A quarter of a big city. Yeah. Hiroshima and Nagasaki are like 100,000 people in both places. So the way we fought World War II, whether it was justified or not at the beginning, at the end, could no longer be justified by any moral standard, except the American moral standard that ignored what we did and claimed the victory as God's will. And we're lucky we beat the Japs and the Germans. And my dad fought in World War II. Was wounded. Came back. He didn't talk much about the bomb or war. He came back and devoted his life to teaching and coaching. His example was exemplary. A wonderful human being beyond it, but I just can't. I'm really lucky, and my brothers and sister are also. I'm not going to sit down and say, it's my father's sins that are the problems, because that doesn't help. And because what we did after World War II by claiming to be the just white hat for the world, we have justified extending the bomb and war making. We're the best killers in the world in this country, bar none. We're on top of the world's dung heap because we kill better than anyone else, and we control the money. Yeah. And there ain't nothing just about it. And by the standards of the New Testament that I read, if you're not actively doing the works of mercy, feed the hungry, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, if you are involved in any organization that would kill anybody, because nowhere in the New Testament did I see any license to kill anybody, good or bad. This country has managed to recreate our Christianity into the image of the United States Empire. And the thing that I find most disturbing is the way Christians in this country have done that. I mean, I'm a Catholic, but But my criticism is not just among the Catholics in this country. My criticism is to all the known Christian denominations that I know of. Listen to this. Any religion that has more moral clarity on birth control than it does on the possession of thermonuclear weapons is seriously unbalanced. So when I said birth control and I'm a Catholic, you're going, oh yeah, those Catholics are crazy about that thing, you know, because the Episcopalians, the Presbyterians, the Evangelicals, they're all for birth control. But the Catholics have this crazy idea about the sperm egg thing, whatever. But the point I'm making is, you ask those Episcopalians, they have a lot of moral clarity on whether one can use birth control or not. The Catholic Church says it's a problem. The Episcopalians say, no, it's not a problem. Hey, they both have very clear moral standings on birth control. What they don't have moral standing on is thermonuclear weapons. In my church, the greater sins are called the sins of omission. Anybody know what that means? Sins of omission. No, sins of omission are, there's sinning going on, but you just ignore it. You don't bring it up. It's not part of your discussion. That's why you can have more and more clarity on side issues and completely ignore the big issues called omission. So, how many of y'all go to church at all? How often do you hear a sermon that's anti-wealth? How often do you hear a sermon that's anti-war? How often do you hear a sermon that says we should disengage from the U.S. empire because Jesus didn't follow empires? He was about making the kingdom of heaven on earth without wealth, war, or empire. Because it's as I said, any fair reading of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John will tell you that this guy and whoever was writing these books were not for wealth, not for war, and not for empire. And it was always part of their, it's if you reread the text as it was written in the 1st and 2nd century, these people are clearly not the power elites. They're not running the world. The literature that they've written, called the New Testament, which is very Jewish, it's a counter-hero story, which was very Jewish too back then. Some of the best lines we got are Jewish, because we are Jewish. That's what I like to say. It's like, the worst human beings in the world are American Christians, because we're the ones who give the moral legitimacy to the American empire. Yeah. Does this resonate at all? And do you have any say anything?
If you want to go off of what the Japanese did, how would you justify what they did to China then? I know it's not comparable because...
No, I don't justify any war.
Yeah.
Because I go back to the dead Jew on a tree in the 1st and 2nd century. That's my man. And a dead Jew on a tree in the 1st and 2nd century was not an